Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Raw and Wild Hearts podcast. I'm your host and guide, Lori Rising, and welcome to today's episode called Do It Different. Why? I'm going to go out on a limb here and say because the way you've been doing it isn't actually working. You're still finding yourself in these patterns and these loops that are highlighting scarcity, lack, things that you don't want, discomfort, pain in your life. You're still running from an internal battle or struggle on a daily basis sometimes. You're still magnetizing relationships that are offering the same lesson in different ways, and you're not understanding why. You still have a tapping on your soul that you're here to do something much bigger, that you're meant to go much bigger, but yet you don't know how. You can't even understand where to start. So that's just a few things. There's obviously more in those categories, but that's what I would really want to drop into. And if you're not in those categories, like good on you. I am here for it. If you're not feeling any of the normal human contrast or duality, like wow, you are doing you're doing a big job and keep doing it and keep emanating it out into the field. Now, if you do feel this, what I want you to know is that even though I am like a hardcore advocate on contrast and duality because I see the glory of it, I see the opportunity of it, I've really shifted my belief in it. Every time I am able to use those as portals, as opportunities to practice my next iteration, my next evolution and ascension, when they come back around, it gets much more easeful because it's now becoming a, a pattern of mine that I'm starting to get more and more evidence for. So every time, even if it's still happening, I'm able to move through it much quicker and I'm able to find the transcendence in it like almost immediately because I've already taken myself out. I'm not entangled within it. So, yeah, I'm coming to this from a very lived and embodied experience because I remember specifically when I decided to do it different. And I finally realized that I was the only one in the equation. So, this is something I want you to have a little self reflection time with right now because I kept putting everybody else in my experiences in the equation too, because I was like, well, I can change somewhat, but they have to change too and then it will be better. Then it will be balanced. That's not actually the reality. Because when you do the deepest place of change within yourself and you find all of the sovereignty, all of the self love, and the higher states of frequency that you now become available for, it actually changes the energy of those around you and they will start to morph and shift from there. Your words will never really create that deep rooted change in anyone. If they do create change, it's mostly going to be on the surface and it's going to be temporary. Let me know in the comments if you have experience with that. But when you get to the root of this part of yourself that is basically coming back in again and again in the external to show you, like, hey, we're still here. We're still running in the old ways. And now you've got another experience to practice with to change this. That's the liberation. That's where you get to be unentangled from the external world. You get to be unentangled from your circumstances and you get to be bigger than them. Because when you become bigger in your desire, your goal, your dream, your vision, then your perceived security is when you will start showing up for yourself to do it different. And when you do it on your own, that speaks volumes to your whole lineage, to your communities, to the collective. And that is also where we become, I can't think of the word, but we become more like more of the multiverse. We become multiversal. This was like what I was trying to come up with. It's been kind of a long day of like talking and like sharing riffs and channels and downloads. So yeah, so then it's not just specific to one experience, one relationship, one pattern. It's universal. Thank you. That's probably the word I was looking for. Here we go. Uh, okay. So I do want to dive deeper into this. I think it's going to be really exciting. But first, I just want to say hi and give you a little 411 about what's been going down and why the podcast wasn't out last week. My dad was life flighted last week. He stopped breathing. His air sacs closed and he came back from it. And I was staying in a parking lot for 4 days outside of the hospital. It was pretty touch and go. It was pretty intense. And like he fought and he pulled through. And I'm so happy to say that he's at home now. But what's wild is just a few days later, his brother passed and transitioned in his sleep. So I'm actually heading back home for that. So it's been a pretty wild couple weeks here, just like spiritually, when we really start to tap in beyond the veil in that space, like even when it's a little bit tenuous, you don't really know where it's going to go, but like it's kind of just living and breathing in your experience. That's kind of where I've been. So thank you for being here. I'm so happy that you're listening and we're connecting in this conversation. If you're on YouTube, hello. Thank you for being here. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because I have so many more videos than the podcast on here, so many embodiment practices. And doing it different means you start showing up for the embodiment practices. We've been doing it through our mind and it hasn't been working. We've been trying to force it through our mind. When you start saying yes to the embodiment and you start saying yes to the curiosity, everything will change. But you've got to be in integrity with yourself. You've got to lead yourself. And like, that's probably the biggest piece right there because we have so much evidence of staying out of integrity with ourselves. We have so much evidence of not leading ourselves because we feel better staying in the patterns and loops that we've known, especially if they've been running for years, if not lifetimes. And so taking ourselves out of that to do it in a new way, it can feel risky in our own vulnerability. So I'm going to share more on that very soon. I'm like kind of weaving in and out here. If you're out in podcast land, thanks for hitting the airwaves with me. Make sure you subscribe on the platform you're on. If you're on Apple, I would love your star rating and review for this episode. It's like a text message. It takes like 1 minute to do and send, and it's so helpful for my creator led business. It's really the power of all of you, your word of mouth, your frequency that goes out, and your desire to uplift this soul medicine that makes it more of a community movement. So thank you, thank you, thank you for those of you that feel called to be in this space with me in that way. If you are ready to really do it different because you're ready to divinely dance with yourself, with all of the human magic, with all of the earth medicine, the next Octave retreat is coming in July. July 17th, to be specific. There's still a few spots open. It's the last retreat that I have on the books. It could be for good. I have no idea. And when I say retreat, I mean an extended space and experience together, which is days together where I really get to be with you in this portal, holding the energy day and night. And we go fast, we go deep, and we ascend just as quickly. And this is where you will become the new iteration of yourself. And then you get to lead yourself beyond that experience to solidify it, to declare it when those patterns and loops come back in, to ask you if you're ready, if you're ready to hold it, if you're really ready to, you already expanded into it, but holding that level, that new octave is up to you. Your whole self has to show up for that. So that's what is offered in July, along with so much more: animal medicine, earth medicine, food medicine. I mean, we go through channeling, we go through mindset, we go through energetic struggles. Like we go very, very deep in every layer of us. And we do it in a really nourished and nurtured space. And because this retreat is domestic and it's very close to my home, we actually have more sound journeys as well because I don't have to travel internationally and I get to bring all of it with me to the space. So, this is for those of you that are ready, that you're ready not only for yourself, but you're ready to hold the space for others. You're ready to witness and you're ready to show up fully in all of your glory, in all of your vulnerability, in all of your feeling, in all of your conviction, in all of your momentum, in all of your dark shadow, and in all of your light. I would love to chat with you. I'm in the DMs. Head on over to Instagram or Facebook, send me a message, and let's chat about it. If you have questions, let's feel into the energy together. Those beauties that are already making up this circle are exquisite and they're ready to welcome you in as well. So the link is below if you want more details, but definitely send me a message and let's drop in. So back to doing it different and how you are the only one who can. You're going to have to get to the place where you jump and you decide. You decide that this is bigger than anything you've known so far. Because the reason people go back to patterns that are looping is because they trust them. Your nervous system starts to get really fearful in this expansion, in the unknown, in the uncertainty, in the it's like I want to say threatening of feeling. It's not threatening, but that's what your nervous system is seeing because you've already been in this state of stress, because you've already been in this discomfort and pain and what you don't like in your life. And at that point, it's so easy to boomerang and like withdraw and become isolated and sacrifice actually your happiness in order or in favor of your unhappiness because that has been normalized for you, because that neural pathway has been strengthened. So you have evidence for that, but you don't have evidence for the new you. And this is why it's so important that we get really comfortable in the uncertainty, comfortable in the co creation, in the channel within, because the channel within will always guide you to a new path and possibility. It will never be linear. It will never be expected. It will never be what's in your control. And I can tell you from lived experience that once you start following that, it does get easier. It does become more normal. It does get more like strength and power and trust to it. And then it becomes magical and exciting. It's like your human avatar gets to go on this wild ride instead of this calculated, formulated ride that just keeps separating you from your soul and yourself more and more and more. Now, I can talk about this because I've just went through this experience in my program that's running right now, Channel, where one of the beauties had this moment where she basically pulled herself out of the program and was just going to go back to what she's known, to what she doesn't want anymore, but she did it unconsciously. She did it and she believed it and she created the story around it until she dropped in with me. And I was able to bring her back to the reality of it. And she could start to feel her own soul and spirit and essence. Because in that state of stress, we will always mute that voice. We will always come back to what will save us. And what will save us is what we have been doing, even when we don't like it, even when it's begging us to change, when it's uncomfortable, when it's painful, it's known. And I feel like when you have that kind of awareness, you now get to approach all of your experiences at a new level from a new space. So, on top of this, if you go even further with this, we will also go into this pass fail of the collective and the culture and the standards that they have put. And then we start to fear all of the things that could come along in that failure vibe. And we start to fear disappointment or feeling disappointment. We start to fear going, like, we really start to fear going for something and then feeling disappointment because it didn't work out. And oftentimes it didn't work out because you've gotten really familiar with not trusting yourself there and coming back and doing it the way that you've always known. And so it didn't work out because you keep coming back to what's familiar. And then we fear judgment, we fear comparison, we fear shame, we fear like public scrutiny, We fear vulnerability. And the vulnerability piece can again be tied to the chronic stress piece because in stress, you will hide your vulnerabilities so that you don't get eaten or you don't get killed or you don't die until it becomes the point of no return. And this is what I will often talk about, our comfort in crisis, because we will wait until crisis happens because then an external condition forces us into the thing that we've been wanting to happen, but we haven't had enough courage to follow it through because we have gathered enough evidence for us not following through over and over and over. So that's just a little highlight of why you might get reprieve and start to move forward, and then you come back and you come back to that pattern loop. And then we've got the avoidance of the growth edge. And that can be tied in with this as well, because when we have a growth edge that's really showing itself to us, a lot of times we'll have all of the excuses, we'll have all of the limitations of like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to deal with this. I don't have time to go into it. Like it's going to be so much process work. Like it's going to take so much time, time. Like you can almost always go back to time, but then we can add in money. Like I don't have the money to invest in this. Like my money has to go to all these other places, and not realizing that when you actually invest your money and time and energy into these massive transformations and into your magnificence and mastery in contrast and duality and the healer that you are, the creator that you are, time and money starts to take on a whole new meaning because you have a lot more. You have excess, you have overflow, you have alignment, you have energy, like you have excitement. And now you're engaging in life in a whole new way. Now your frequency has been rising to magnetize more paths, more networking, more co creations, more possibilities that are going to take you to where you never even dreamed was possible. That's the beauty of this life that has been denied by this one dimensional space of the matrix of the mind and of the control. Now, I've already talked about the opportunity to practice when we start to up level and we start to step into this healing and the ascension of these places. You'll get hit immediately by the trigger or by the person or by another challenge that's going to be like, are you really going to hold this? Can you hold this? We're letting you know right now, you get to hold this. And because it's so soon, really often we'll just boomerang back. Or we'll start to get a little spiritual bypassy and we'll start to say, like, oh, well, that was something that was giving me a sign that this isn't the right path or it's doomed or it like isn't for me. And we'll start to say that when the mind has created distortion already. So it's really important to be able to decipher that and realize that is how powerful we are. Like whatever it is that you're thinking and feeling and believing is going to show up more as your reality. So you've got to be careful on when you get to that space where you think everything's a sign to stop your deepest dream and desire, your goals, like the expansion that's being asked for you to like take yourself forward on. That's always going to be the deepest channel. But then the mind stories and distortion will start to try to like take steps, or it's going to try to chip away. It's going to try to like insert itself. So you've got to have a lot of awareness in those spaces. And the good enough conundrum. This is where we will often wait for conditions to change around us to make it easier, and we'll just accept good enough. And we'll just keep dealing with the incongruence within, with the tapping on the soul, with the complacency in our life. But this is where it's like, how do we decide not to force change? And how do we get proactive? It comes in the investment mentality. We got to get out of the reaction consciousness that has been infiltrated into our cells and our being and our minds through the society around us. Probably the final thing that I want to say about this is integrity with yourself, leading yourself, believing yourself in your channel when it's that yes frequency where you feel it inside, you feel this potential and possibility before all of the distortion starts to come in, and staying in the conviction of that. Like I said in the beginning, I think I did. It's how you show up in the 11th hour by holding the vision, holding the dream, holding the desire, holding the highest timeline, letting go of the how, and being super available while you're clearing the energetic struggles that are showing up for you to jump off from by clearing them and moving into the new space, by doing it different. Because if you've tried to clear these struggles in the past and they're continuing to come in, that method isn't working anymore. So it's got to be something new that you haven't been training yourself in. So that's going to be it for today's episode. This is kind of a quick zap. I just wanted to really kind of marinate in this amazing yum that's been coming through in channel. If you didn't join channel, I'm kind of like, why didn't you? This was the first iteration of it. I had it at half price. It's the most beautiful, intimate space. And I want you to sit with that. If you had a thought or a feeling or a heart yes on it, and you let stories be bigger than the channel within, I want this to be hindsight confirmation for you, because the next channel program will be coming in the fall. And I'm telling you right now, this is a masterpiece. I am loving what's showing up in this space, what's being massaged in this space, what's so sacred and intentional in this space. And believe me, it hasn't been all roses. like, and that's the beauty of it. I'm telling you, these spaces, if you actually can lead yourself into them and stay in them in integrity and show up fully, wholly, and like believe that there's something here for you, when you truly focus and open up into the experience, it will change all of your life. I pinky swear promise you. All right, babes. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Please, if you got even a little bit out of this transmission, this episode, share it with one friend. Again, my creator led business relies on you and relies on your referrals and relies on you bringing the energy even more into the collective and the field. So I appreciate you. I thank you. And I'm really happy to be on this wild and raw ride with you. So until next time, don't forget to keep looking up.